So I'm Christophe Mercier. I'm architect and urban planner. I didn't learn it, but I used to learn by doing. So I have two caps, I would say in French. I don't know if it's the same expression in Turkish, but so Joachim asked me to speak about what my activist, former activist activities changed my way of working. So I have two caps. I say for one time I have the two caps in the same time. It was very complicated because with Disturb we were asking for changing a lot of the process, and I was with Benoit, as we said this morning, and he was with me with a few people, and at the same time I was developing an activity as architect and urban planner. So I try to explain very quickly what happened. So at the first time we were activists, so we were on the street and putting, you know, the poster on the wall, trying to really changing and to get to the second turn, as Benoit said this morning, and to change the way of seeing. For example, the city, la cité administrative were really destroyed now, and it was a project that we want really to keep, you know, the memory of it. It was the 50s and the 60s, and it was really not considered as patrimonial at this time. Now it changed a lot, maybe a bit far of action. So we did a seminaries too. With Ambric, we think about the social housing for just trying to change the process of creating the social housing, and for example to make the competition. The competition of architecture wasn't how to say that didn't exist in Belgium, so it was just a friend of the friend of we know how they work, so we take it. So it was really not like in France a way to choose the architect of the project. So we really fight against that and to change it. We as Benoit said this morning, we create the Bouwmeester. So there's an architect now in charge of really choosing the way, the process, and how to create the jury too, and the competition, how to do it, etc. So it changed a bit because of our action, I hope. And so that was a project who changed really my way of working. As activists, we really tried to create a competition on the Place Flagey, on this public space. And it was the former project, you saw this morning too. I didn't know that you're gonna show this. When we did that Appel à Idées, which was a calling for ID, I would say international, we did like to show to the public, to everybody, how do we have to organize a competition. And we organized it in 1 month, and we received 100 projects. And we organized a kind of exhibition with all the projects. It was not project, but ID, as we said, just sketches. And it changed considerably the way of seeing the public space in Belgium. Because before, the public space was seen just like technical things to fix, but it's more than that, as we know, everybody here. So what we received was very different than the project, and that was the winning project. And as we see it, that it shows in that sketch, it's not really a project, it's more a sketch. It showed that a public space had to link all the districts around, all the streets, and not to separate it as the former project was. And in many ways, this changed a lot of way of seeing the public space in Belgium, and it changed my way to conceive it. And that was the part that you saw it. And another vindication in that process. We were not only the architect, we were with the school, but we were too with inhabitants of the place, of the neighborhood there. And they was not asking only for a competition and for better architecture or better public space, but they were asking too for participation and to be involved in the project, as you say. That it was really top down, and there was to be a really more bottom up, as you say. So when when the project, the competition take place, because a new minister came and he said, okay, you're right, we're going to do it, we're going to make a competition. What they did too is to put a tramway, just for the information, just to say what's happening, and just to collect too what the inhabitants have to say. So they put it in a tramway, which came afterwards with the graffiti and stuff, but it was white first time, and so it was interesting to see the inhabitants take two with the graffiti. And inside they show the competition before they choose the winner, so they really show all the process to the inhabitants and to the users of the public space. This was very first time, I think, in Brussels that something like this was made. So that was the final project, so you saw it, you can see it now in Brussels, which it was really new. So for me it was very interesting to integrate all the process and what was happening in something like, you have the urban project in the center, and you have a border between the inhabitants, I say all the contre-pouvoirs. Well, so the society, civil society, and with the architect, the administration and the politics. It was a real border, and there was no real dialogues with it. So what I try now in my practice, my everyday practice, is to put the urban project in the center, and to consider not only the citizen, but everybody in the project. Everybody have some things to do with the urban project, and we are trying to make the consultation with everybody, not only with the inhabitants, not only with the politics or the administration, but with everybody. Everybody has some things to say. So it's not just giving the power to the inhabitants, but it's just to make it part of the process, because the inhabitants never get the role of the responsibility of the project itself. They just are user, but not to take the responsibility. So how I integrate the participation in my everyday work is not only, I hate that scheme to be information, consultation, participation, co-production. I really hate this. That's why I put it down. Because I don't believe in it. It's just, it's a 70s scheme. I prefer this one, which is really the way of the project. It's more complicated, but I try to make the consultation in the diagnostic with the people, inhabitants, users, not only inhabitants. There's people coming from outside using the public space, for example. And after, when you have a project, trying to put in feedback. What feedback is really to take a risk to show to the users your project, and trying to have to speak with them, to have a dialogue about what you have done. And it's really, the first time we did it, I was very scared about what was going to happen if nobody liked it. What happens? We have to do it again. But taking that risk is very interesting, because what the people say is always interesting, always. Even if it's totally against the project, they always have something to say. So no, I can't do a project without doing the feedback for the public space, especially not for private project, but for the public space, it's very difficult for me to do it without. And so we can ask about the competition, because when we make a competition about public space, we don't do that. We don't do the feedback. We don't meet the people before doing the project, and we immediately encounter a jury. So but we really skip that process of the dialogue with the users, so it can interrogate about the competition too. So the co-production is possible, but I think it's very small intervention. It can we do a lot of playground. Comment on dit ça, playground. And one time we did at the first time we did with some schools, some drawers, and we put it inside a labyrinth and like an art gallery of children. It was very nice to do it. So that kind of things can be done with the inhabitants, but not to build it really. For some side it's technical. It's difficult to put the inhabitants in the co-production in some way. So. It's coming. Okay. So now my professional practice. So we really we are boring doing buildings. The last buildings we did is 2 years before, and I just speak with my partner and say, wow, it was so boring to do that housing. So we'll stop to do it. It's so because we didn't enjoy it. We like to fight, you know. We like to to speak with the. Well, so we just stopped to do it. We just do public space, plain urbanism, plain. Yeah, okay, it might be so bad. And playground. We start with the playground. The first thing we did is this playground, which is in Woluwe, and we were really surprised. But doing it, we were so free to do things and to really go into the dreams of the children. And so we make participation. Of course, we meet the children of the neighborhood. And we meet the parents too, which is important. And what we saw is that it's not only children go to the playground, but the adolescents too, and adults go to the playground too. We saw an adult just reading the newspaper one day in the playground. So it was very interesting for us. And just to see, for example, the sand, you know, when you want to put the sand in the playground, everybody say, oh no, please, don't put sand because it's very complicated. The dog came, the cats came, and the stuff, and we find some drug addict inside. But everybody there said, please keep the sand, because here is the beach of Woluwe, and we have to keep that sand. And even when they go now in November, December, they put off their shoes and they go to the playground. So it's very interesting to have this dialogue, because we have some idea about the using even of the material, just to have this discussion. It's a recent project we did in Saint-Hubert, a public space in Saint-Hubert, in the center of the city, and we take the risk too to make that feedback with the project we have, and we open a shop, a shop with, an empty shop, and we just be there for 3 days, and we meet the people. There was 200 people came from 3 days just to see the project and to speak with us. We were so surprised. And we couldn't take a break. We take a break 1 hour, we came back, and there was 6 or 7 people in chairs waiting to see it. So we were so surprised to see the interest of all the inhabitants for it. And it was so interesting to see that the people are not so against the things, or they are really constructive when we speak with them, and so we really have to take the risk to do that. So that was the project with recently speak a lot about our activities. It's called Walking Madou. And what happened here is it's a main street of a district of Brussels called Saint-Josse, and it's full of shops, as you see on the photo. And it was really a huge traffic jam here every time of the days. So all the pedestrians have to go to the sidewalk, too small. And in the 60s, in the 70s, it was a real center for the shopping, for the cinema. There was 4 cinemas in that way to the 70s, but they're all closed now. So there are second-hand shop taking place, and not very good shop. I do think it went down. So we make urban plan studies on the district, and we propose to make it pedestrian and to put all the traffic in the way there up, and so they accept to do it, to make a final project, that costs 1 million and some things of euro, but it takes time. The process takes a lot of time. So we convinced the government and the responsible of the district to do a project for 3 or 6 months, which is very fast and will cost no money, 70,000 euro, which is really less than the budget of the final project and the definitive project. So what we did is to paint in yellow 4 parts. Here's the part here, and here, and to put lines between them. We choose the yellow. Everybody asked us at the time, why the yellow? Why the yellow? Why the yellow? And the yellow is the color which is used to make the line in the roads when it's not definitive. So it was the idea, and the other reason was it was not the political colors of the four principal political of the district at that moment. So what we did is to use broken cars, old cars, and we painted in yellow too, and we put some plants inside. And what was very interesting, it became a spot. We thought we didn't know that. It was really like a laboratory. We did that and we observed for months what's happening. And a lot of people came there just to take a photo, just beside the cars. Some wearing in yellow. It was for the wind, because there is a huge tower there and there's a lot of wind. So we called the wind square at that time, and we thought that nobody nobody will get there, but that was not true. A lot of people stay there, and you see, he buy it in a store, in the second-hand store, just right there, and his father just took the photo just beside the cars. But it was happening every time. We saw some clips of rap men. One day I was passing through with my bicycle, and there was rap, huge black men with it, and just singing, and somebody was filming it. It was very interesting, but it was happening, was nonsense every day. And it's not passing. Of course, the bicycle was taking part immediately of it, not only pedestrian, and it was working. And in this place, you saw all the shop took the terrace out. One didn't want to at first time, and after he did it anyway. So, okay, I like this. And that was very funny too. That was at the inauguration. One of my collaborators has a huge collection of yellow objects. It was coincidences. So he took it in an inauguration, and we did it with a policeman, and I told the people it was him. And what was important too, that you saw in the tramway, that we put an information box. It was closed there, but it was many times people just talking with the people, taking all the remarks and everything that can come. And on this we put information too. It's very important to communicate with the project, which in Brussels wasn't really the So what happened there? Election. It was a Turkish, coming from Turkish, I will tell you, born in Brussels, win the election. It was the only politician against the project, because everybody was okay with that. But what I have to say is that the inhabitants was very divided about it, because I think it was maybe, if I have to speak about strategy, it was maybe too hard to Berlin for Brussels. Brussels is a very conservative town, so really the real minute we start to paint the floor in yellow, old people of the neighborhood came and said, "What are you doing?" And was really yelling on us. And after, when they saw the cars, and said, "What? This was unbelievable, and you know that, but you have to stop this." And it was very aggressive, the reaction. The media too, the press, and it was a huge debate about it, which is good, because the debate is always good, and maybe it helped to change, but at that time it was very hard for us to see a project really put on the floor by this politician. He made all this campaign against it, and he said I was crazy, I was blah blah blah. And so when he win the election, he make it. He make it true. I will not speak about politics here. And so the first thing he did when he came to the power was to put the car back. And the region put this ugly buttons work, and so you saw that was when they put it a little bit. Why? You have to say that. So what we did was I came back to my former, I'm here, I think. My former militant, activist. So we organized with the militants a burial of the project. It was the Walking Mile Rip. And we were 100 people, it was 7 in the morning, freezing, and we had, how do you call it in English? Ça c'est difficile, un burial car. Allez, we say a burial car, everybody understand? A funeral car with the press there, and so it was the last time that we walk on a walking manner. And that was it. And what was it was interesting, even if it doesn't work, because now we win a prize for this. That was something nice that we received, but the academic was thinking it was good. So there was no problem with the architect and the piano well, a few maybe, but most of them will say, wow, it's great. But with the publics and with the inhabitants, with the media, it was very difficult. So we say, maybe we had to choose another strategy, or maybe we have to be smooth, and we have to say, like Jan Gehl in Copenhagen did it bit by bit, 3% of course less every year, still 69. That's why Copenhagen is not like this, because it took 30 or 40 years to get it. I think it's very very slow to get it. So maybe we want to be too hard. So, but what we think now too is we don't have to test, because we have to do it. We really have to do it. That's what when we speak of the pedestrian in the center of Brussels, he really decided Mayo to do it. It's difficult because this opposite what I did say with the participation and the dialogue, of course. But I think sometimes it's very complicated, because we can speak about, for example, the taxes. As the people say, okay, low taxes. Everybody will say low taxes. Okay, it's the same for the car. Everybody say, okay, I want to go with my car everywhere, anytime, and to put my car anywhere. So it's very difficult. There is some. I think we have to keep explaining the things, to keep the dialogues, but we have to decide to. Which is important for matters which is not easy to understand, and changing is always difficult for the people any part of the world. I think any city, and the city that changes, a city with politicians will really act, like in Strasbourg, Bordeaux, in France, or in Gand, in Belgium, and they will decide to, no, in Brussels, you really decide to change, and you keep changing, even if the press, if everybody is yelling. And you have to stay for the public, says 3, 4, 5, 10 years, and after everybody says it's okay. The Grand Place of Brussels was a parking till the 70s, and it was the most beautiful parking of the world, as we say in Brussels. And now when we saw the photo of this, it's incredible. But everybody was against put it pedestrians without cars at that time, and especially the shop, of course, and we are really afraid to change. So that's it. Thank you.